Being in South Korea today, even experiencing studying here, is like living my childhood dream. I still remember the 7-year-old version of me who was having a love at first sight with Super Junior and continuously being a K-pop fan, spending my whole life diving into Korean entertainment and its culture more deeply. However, after I stay here and learn about contemporary Korean studies, I realized that South Korea is more than just a country of Hallyu. Perspective matters in how we see something, including how we see Korea. It cannot be defined in short terms, but depends on various perspectives and concepts. In the past, Korea was more than just a country that never existed before they succeeded in transforming their lives. One of the most essential figures in this history is Park Chung-hee. His determination to escape poverty at a national level by developing Korea's economy turned Korea from a farming country to an urban country instantly. On the other hand, these national projects destroy urban houses and make homeless communities feel injustice. It also leads to an unhappy and uncomfortable life. Yet they believe that developing a country needs sacrifices from its government and citizens, and maybe that's why they are used to living in order and discipline. Apart from symbolizing a fast-paced society and East Asia's modernity, South Korea has a deeper story related to Korean psychological aspects, described by Han and Hwabyong, which relates to Koreans' emotional distress. Hwabyong is a somatization that often arises from the inability to confront anger and manifest symptoms, including depression. I found it unique that Korean characters don't usually express emotions verbally, but they come across the terms hwabyong and anxiety. While speaking up and expressing feelings are valuable in the West, Asian people, including Koreans, are expected to have nunchi, the emotional intelligence to read others people's moods. There's also jong, which relates to acts of service that are often more appreciated than vocal gestures. These are all Korean feelings connected with Confucianism, a philosophy of mutual respect and kindness that expects people to do things perfectly. Therefore, it's no wonder that for Koreans, failure means failing to meet their expectations. When they meet their expectations, they automatically think their standard is too low and then raise it again because they believe core self-worth depends on people's standards. Even though this fact can lead to exhaustion and mental issues, this is what creates Korean social class competition. Although Korea is titled the most depressed country among the OECD countries, it's not true that it's more unhappy today. Instead, it has a luxurious feeling of unhappiness because before, it was all about survival during the war, so it didn't have any room for feelings until modernity opens the door to freedom. On the contrary, modernity makes us depressed individuals who are tired of being ourselves. We started continuously thinking about what we should reach after this and that, and people want to be something more of themselves. The main idea of modernization is that there's a shift from can to should and must. Modernity makes us create and sell ourselves as an attractive commodity to show our achievements, proving that freedom is not always the best. Still talking about Korean modernization, Koreans behave by hiding emotions and creating discontent because the telos are lost. That's why modernity comes together with anxiety, depression, and even suicide. From a young age, they grow up believing that success equals happiness and failure equals shame, which can be seen in every area of Koreans' life values and is a part of their national ethos. Unexpectedly, This belief drives South Korea's economy achievements. That is also a part of what makes Korean culture, which became popular afterwards under the name Korean Wave or Hallyu, including K-pop, so appealing. The rise of Korean culture, which resonates with youth by creating a shared identity across borders, is nothing short of a cultural revolution in South Korea. David Matsumoto once said, "Culture is a solution to survive from a problem given by the environment." Nowadays, what we face is competition, depression, anxiety, and even life standards as the environment that gives us problems. And K-pop is a solution for those who don't care or know about this country since Korea never exists. However, behind the solution is always the rising of new problems. As the ultimate symbol of South Korea's soft power, K-pop isn't just music. It's a carefully curated product of talent and a massive industry machine. Idol groups often begin training for years in their teenage years, with pressure to perform at the highest level. The perfectionism that drives them has made K-pop an international sensation, but it's also led to darker realities behind the glamour. Moreover, looks usually define Korea's social class. Koreans believe this and they do judge a book by its cover. And freedom makes life harder since we need to achieve more and more. As a closing statement, South Korea successfully proved it could do its best to quickly rise from colonization and poverty, which only happened in 2 decades. Even though mental health in this country is a complex issue, Korea has never been more modern than it is today. And the way the world now sees Korea is worth all the sacrifices, including how they intend always to be perfect and give their best. Korea is a land of contrast where the old meets the new, traditional culture exists with modern invention, and even when torture comes together with freedom. To wrap this up, I am impressed with what this country has done and how it has successfully affected the global interest in Korean culture. Furthermore, their way of life, which involves getting used to perfection and hard work, also influenced me to work hard but still keep a balanced life and prioritize self-compassion.